Alright, the quick road trip to Arizona is over, EDC is over, heading back to Vegas, check into the Rio. My plan is to show you some scenery on the way back, and interspersed with that, regale you with some stories about how Arizona poker, believe it or not, is different than Vegas poker. And before I get going, kind of a shout out to AZ Snoop. That's his name on Twitter. We've met at a Trooper Thursday. Didn't see him at the casinos, but could have. Stopped for gas very early in this trip. I have no idea where a golf course is. I'm on like a business road, you know, a road with a lot of stores, a lot of shopping centers, and this guy just drove up in a golf cart. I mean, there's a supermarket behind the gas station, there's a hotel, it's a Hampton Inn right there, it looks like an apartment complex, and I'm on a Grand Avenue. I mean, on the right side, I've been going that way, so on the right side, which I think is the north side, just a lot of like industrial areas, the train tracks, there's the Webb Medical Center right there. I have no idea where a golf course is, but this guy drove up in a golf cart, and he's still there, just hanging out. So I'm here at Albertsons, right next to the gas station, gonna look for a pre-made sandwich or something for the road. There's another golf cart, and it's not like, I understand in some apartment complexes, especially for elderly people, they have carts for them to get around. I mean, there are golf clubs in the backs of these carts. Like, they're golfing. They're not just driving around. Where is this golf course? Interesting that there's this bad information at this rest stop. I can't remember his last, Merlin Tuttle. I think that's his name. He was on Joe Rogan fairly recently. He's worked with bats his whole life. A lot of interesting stories he had about the bats, specifically about encounters with other people while he was working with bats, so check those out if you want. But funny story about bats before I get into all the poker stuff. So when I first moved to Nebraska for law school, I was renting a room in a house before I got my apartment. I was moving out the next day. This was my final night in the house. Like late at night, it was like midnight or 1 a.m. One of the other tenants knocked on my door and she said, "Are you afraid of baths?" And I thought, that's weird. I barely ever talked to her, and now on my final day in the middle of the night, she's taunting me about hygiene practices. And that's not what she said. What she said was, "Are you scared of bats?" Because somehow a bat got into her bedroom and we had to get it out. We did. I didn't really do it the Manu Ginobili way, but we got it out, kind of got it into a box that was like kind of covered, and just opened the door to the front, opened the front door to the house and just threw it out and hoped that the like not so tight lid came loose and the bat was able to escape and fly off, and that's what happened. So there's my bat story. Don't have any more of them. Can you see that guy running across the sidewalk? He's in the shadows. Almost stepped on him. I mean, I was like 6 feet away. Kind of startled him. It looks like some kind of a lizard or something. Anyway, poker. Differences between Arizona poker and Vegas. Everything, basically. Sat down at Desert Diamond. Guy on my right had 1,100. He got down to 350. He got back up to 1,300. He left with nothing. In Vegas, he would have left well before he got to 1,100. Saw a flop check raise from 40 to 175, followed by a turn bet of 200. On the turn, got all in for 600 effective, and the other player showed a pair. Also, on the run out, the flush came in and the straight came in, and the guy who check raised the flop and then led 200, got all in on the turn, mucked. So he did not have the flush nor the straight, and not a set either. I don't know what he could have had. I guess it also makes no sense for him to have air. I could see if he got to the river somehow, like calling with the draw the whole way and to make some stab at the pot on the river, but like pre-flop was like 20 bucks. I mean, he could have just folded the flop, lost 20. Instead he lost like 850 that hand or something. There was a hand on the turn. It was 2 pair versus set. Okay, nothing ridiculous so far that happens. But on the river, the river card brought 3 to a straight and 3 to a flush. In Vegas, check, check. That's what happens every single time. Everyone's terrified. These players still got all in for like 300 more, 2 pair versus set, even though there was 3 to a straight, 3 to a flush on the river. A guy triple barreled. Don't see a lot of triple barrels that often. He had king jack offsuit, he raised pre, he bet the flop, he bet the turn, he bet the river, and he never had anything, but he fired 4 barrels at it. I think on the flop he had 2 overs and 1 back door. That was like the most equity he had at any point in the hand. And he got called down every street by 10-9. 10-9, hit a 9 at some point in the hand and held on. Over 1 limp, king 8 suited, made it 30 to go at a 2-3 table. Got 3-bet to 125, snap called, and shoved a flop with a pair and a draw. And that was a pretty big pot. That was like, I don't know, $1,000 pot. Pair and a draw versus an overpair. I knew the 3-better was never folding. It took him a long time to call, but he was never folding. He was ahead until the draw came in, but you don't see that a lot from king 8 suited in Vegas these days. I'll have more hands at the next stop, probably one more stop before I get to Vegas, but I do want to lay out Desert Diamond and Talking Stick, not places I want to get banned from. In LA, in California, I filmed a little in the casino, didn't care if I got banned, there were so many rooms. Actually next year, it's very early, next summer I'm thinking between Deal and Come Here, because I'm mixing it up. Apparently Council Bluffs last summer, California this summer, there's not a ton of other places within like a short driving distance. If I want to drive the whole country, I could go anywhere, but didn't even love driving to Council Bluffs last summer. So maybe Arizona next year, maybe Deal the series, that's always a possibility. So I don't like when there's an entire room for poker in Vegas. It did hurt National Harbor. It was a lot better downstairs. It's still okay upstairs, but it was a lot better downstairs. But in Vegas, you need people who like just kind of wander in. In other cities, you don't, because the state of the games are still very good. So at Talking Stick, it was its own building. I showed you from the outside, not the inside. A lot of tables. I think 59, Bravo said, and a bunch were running. And Desert Diamond, I think, was 36 tables. Not as many were running, but the games that were going were still very good. So both of them their own room, both of them a lot of space, if you like that. And yeah. He's staying in the shade. I'm trying to get him, see him pop out into the sun a little bit. There's a couple of them now. I have no idea if you could see this. I'm having a tough time through the camera seeing this. They really don't like when I'm trying to get close to them. But trying to get you some lizards on camera. I just changed from US 93 to I40 West, and gonna stop soon and tell you some more poker stuff, but here's the scenery I'm looking at. All right, last stop. I am in Kingman, Arizona, and if you were a diehard Mets fan like me, you think Kingman, you think Dave Kingman. Known for power, that's it. Struck out a ton, not fast, no arm, no defense, no batting for average, not a lot of runs scored, but he hit home runs. If you YouTube Kingman Wrigley, that should be enough. He hit a home run out of the stadium at Wrigley once, like into the adjacent neighborhood. You see the ball bouncing down the street. Texted my mom, guess what city I'm in? And my clue was, think transient Mets power hitters. I bet you before I'm done filming, she texts me back and says Kingman. Told you my mom would get it. Kingman, Arizona. She got it right away. 1 minute. Anyway, I think I promised you more hands. There was over pair versus top pair, which, you know, even in Vegas, you still get action on that. The run out was terrible though. It was 3 to a straight, 3 to a flush, and the over pair went for it on the river, just shoved all in. Top pair called, which would not happen in Vegas. Top pair would just be terrified of everything. Over pairs, 2 pair, sets, straights, flushes, that wouldn't happen in Vegas. Also, ace high flush versus 3 high flush. Ace queen of diamonds versus 3-2 of diamonds. They both flopped the flush. Just the river. Money went in on every street, but just the river went bet 150, raise 300 call. I mean, in Vegas, 3-2 of diamonds doesn't even get to the flop. So that's it. Here in Arizona, I got about 2 hours left to get to Vegas. Check in at the Rio. I don't know. Maybe go to the Westgate? Who knows? You won't know, because I'm going to stop filming as soon as I get to the Rio. Last scene will be at the Rio, and I will play somewhere after that. And my time in Vegas is running out. I got, what, today's like the 21st or the 22nd or something. I got like, I think fewer than 10 days. I got, including today, 8. I think there's 10 days left, including today, and then I head to Lake Elsinore for 6 weeks. So, gonna get back to Vegas and play. Same thing here in Kingman, by the way, the one that makes sense. A display where you type in what you want and it actually works. I don't get why Conseco's and Long Island can't do it this way. Scottsdale, 438. It's 422, so getting pretty close, and I'll see you in the Rio parking garage. All right, here I am at the Rio. There it is, parked on the west side next to Gold Coast on the Palms. I usually get the Ipanema Tower, which is on the west side. Funny story, for like the last 2 years, it's all I've gotten, the Ipanema Tower. On the east side is the Masquerade Tower, and that's Bill Tate's favorite, which is not a common favorite, but it is his favorite. Last week, I got Masquerade for the first time in many years. Between Denver and Arizona, I was in the Masquerade Tower here. I'll see where they put me this time, but that's a wrap on this mini-series, and hope you enjoyed it. And remember, rice is a spoon food.